begin with Margaret Brennan's interview with Secretary Kerry as he prepared to leave Egypt and fly to Switzerland for the talks. She asked him flatly, had the Cotton letter put the talks in jeopardy?
Well, I don't know yet. When I negotiate for the first time on Sunday night with Foreign Minister Zarif, I'll have a better sense of where we are. But what I do know is that this letter was absolutely calculated directly to interfere with these negotiations. It specifically inserts itself directly to the leader of another country, saying, don't negotiate with these guys, because we're going to change this, which, by the way, is not only contrary to the Constitution with respect to the executive's right to negotiate, but it is incorrect, because they cannot change an executive agreement. So it's false information and directly calculated to interfere and basically say, don't negotiate with them, you got to negotiate with 535 members of Congress.
But
that's unprecedented.
And they have to negotiate with you. You're the one who has to sit at that table.
Well, I understand, but it's unprecedented. I've never seen anything like this. Now, in fairness, look, I don't know how many people really focus completely on it, but I do know that the effect and the intent of the author was to basically say, don't do this deal. And by the way, that's to say that before there even is a deal. I mean, it's like, giving people a grade on a test before the test is even written, let alone given. It's wrong, it's unprecedented, and I hope it hasn't made it very difficult here. And by the way, this is not just the United States of America negotiating. This is China, Russia, Germany, France, Great Britain.
So how do you clear the air? Are you going to apologize for this letter?
Not on your life. I'm not going to apologize for an unconstitutional and unthought out action by somebody who's been in the United States Senate for 60-some days. That's just inappropriate. I will explain very clearly that Congress does not have the right to change an executive agreement. Another president may have a different view about it, but if we do our job correctly, all of these nations, they all have an interest in making sure this is in fact a proven peaceful program. And it would be derelict if we allow some gaping hole in this program that doesn't do so. But let's see what it is first. And I think this applies to everybody, incidentally, who's been trying to judge this before, in fact, the deal, if it can be sealed, is sealed.
You've made the point this is an international agreement. This isn't just the U.S. and Iran. But Senator Corker, chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, said the decision to bypass Congress and instead go to the UN and allow them to vote on some of this deal is a direct affront to the American people.
Well, with all due respect, look, I do really disagree with that judgment, and I talked to him about it the other day and made it clear. We are negotiating under the auspices, to some degree, of the United Nations. So just as Congress has to vote to lift sanctions, so Congress does have a vote, so does the United Nations have to lift some sanctions at some point in time.
Well, that's on sanctions, but to authorize this deal, do you see Congress having a role?
Congress has a role. We have had over 205 briefings, phone calls, discussions with Congress. 119 of them have taken place since January of this year. We have been in full discussion with Congress on this. We've been in full discussion with allies in the region. We have had our team go to Israel or meet with Israelis in Washington or elsewhere to brief them regularly in this process. This isn't, a complete mystery. And the fact is that but we also have been operating under a rule that everybody understands. Nothing is agreed to until everything is agreed to. And so we have to finish our negotiation, and we deserve the right to do so, frankly, knowing we have to submit it to the world to judge. We ought to be able to find out unimpeded and uninterfered with in an unconstitutional way in violation of 200+ years of tradition.
The president wants a deal by the end of March. If you can't meet that timetable, what happens?
Margaret, we are trying to get a deal by the end of March.